One of the first things I like to do before I start a project is to name the product. Firstly, it helps give you a sense of what you're talking about when you're talking about it, start getting the name in your head, as opposed talking about it as just an application or when we do this application, or, it really just helps to get a name at the start. And I think it also brings a bit of reality to the project. It makes it feel like a real thing that's already done. So some people name it later. I like to name it straight away. So instead of just coming up with a name and then saying this is what we've named it, I'm going to just show you my raw thought pattern and what I do, what I Google, what I look for, and a few rules when picking out a product name. So I'd say there's one rule with a product name that should really drive a big decision. And that is that it should be 2 or 3 syllables, ideally 2. The reason for this, you have Google, Apple, Samsung, eBay, PayPal. The list just goes on. There's so many products with 2 syllables that are popular. It's easy on the tongue, it's easy to remember, it has a catch to it. But then also the 2 largest companies in the world, Microsoft and Amazon, have got 3 syllables. But again, 2 or 3 syllables, don't go above that. So keep that in mind when thinking of a name. Nice, quick, and catchy. And then from there now, we'll just jump in and start Googling for ideas about the subject in general. So in this case, about diabetes, maybe looking for some diabetes apps. So let's just pull up the computer and start browsing and brainstorming. So the first step of this is to literally start Googling. So we're doing a diabetes app. So one of the first things I'm going to do is kind of pull up a notepad and start jotting some notes down. Any words I like the sound of, any pieces of information specific to diabetes. You put the word itself down because we want to keep that in our minds. So we could read up on diabetes itself, the symptoms. We'll also do diabetes app, and then let's take a look at some popular ones. Just get a feel for names, it might spark some ideas. Food occult indicates food. Now, I've got a feeling this is more of a management side. You wouldn't typically class it as food specifically. It's going to obviously manage food, but this is going to be very tailored towards the key feature of this is that you can manage your diabetes. My sugar, a bit cheesy. I think a bit old school as well, just using old words and rehashing them. These are too long. Numbers in the names I don't like, so I guess I had one rule, but straight away I can kind of say, some rules I don't like, or some rules I abide by. One is 2 or 3. Here we go. How do you spell syllables? Google it. I don't even know if it's C or L. Syllables. Oh, that's terrible. That's definitely not it. Syllables. There we go. Syllables. That's one rule. The other rule would be no numbers in name. Hence why Angel 6 is Angel 6 and not Angel 6. I think it looks a lot better that way. We have those 2 rules so far. I'd also say no. I don't know what you really class this as when you remove a letter, like an alternate spelling, I guess. You can use alternate spellings in terms of words that aren't the actual word. So say you wanted to respell sugar, you could call it sugar or something if you wanted to physically say it different, but I wouldn't have it say my sugar, but it's simply spelled wrong. The reason for that is then when you try to tell somebody, oh, go download my sugar, they'll type my sugar with an A. That's another reason why I don't like to kind of do that. Health, no. Glucose, now glucose is a keyword in this, so we'll do glucose. Buddy, yeah, kind of like that. Put buddy in as a keyword. Diabetes connect, yeah, kind of. I think it possibly wants diabetes in the name. I just don't know whether I want to directly specify diabetes, because this could be a general health tracker, fitness tracker of the future. It could kind of be, I don't know whether you saw the news, but Samsung and Google have both just invested in diabetes specifically and getting it into the Apple Watch and things like that. So Dexcom are actually working with them. So I've already reached out to Dexcom to say, can I work with you? Have you got an open API? you know, try and get engaged with them, because clearly there's something happening there. But at the same time, I don't think we want to specifically state diabetes in the app name. I'm not sure. Undecided yet. Maybe we do, maybe we don't. One Touch, no. Beto, no. So top apps, that's kind of all there is to say about that. You got type 1 and type 2, pre-diabetes. All I'm really doing here, like I say, is looking for some keywords that I like the sound of. Then we'll start trying to think of some actual some terms. You can also do, I don't know, top fitness apps, because this is also a kind of fitness thing. I like the look of that app. That's quite cool. Let's see. Where's the names of the apps? Am I missing it? Oh, there at the end. Nike Plus, Active, Sword Kit. No, not a fan of any of these. Asana, ClassPass, Fitboard. Okay, see, I don't like the name of any of these. Sleep Cycle, I like that UI again. The other thing we can start doing is saving some UI that we like the look of for inspiration. So we can easily look up this at a later date. Headspace. I don't know whether I have Fit. Monitor. Don't like the word monitor, but something to do with monitoring your levels. You could also type in diabetes, keeping levels or something. Diabetes management. So let's have a look. You've got food, calorie counting, portion control, exercise. Now, exercise was a key thing in that, hence the Fit again. I always spell exercise wrong. I always put a C in it. Exercise. Medication will be insulin. Illness, alcohol. Stress. Nope, nothing on there really that stands out for a name. Types of diabetes. Type 1, type 2. Signs and symptoms. Very thirsty, very tired, blurred vision. Active, healthy, balance. Maybe balance. Balance is a kind of key one here because we're trying to balance the condition. Blood pressure, cholesterol, coronary heart, stroke. So, we've got quite a few little things. So let's just make this a bit bigger so we can see this font. Make it like 24. That's nice and big. So here's some key words we've come up with, the basic rules we know of. And this is where I really just start thinking of names off the top of my head, not being afraid to, you know, say things and see what they sound like and jot some ideas down. Considering you want it to be 2 syllables, diabetes as a word already is kind of out. So we can't really use the word diabetes in there to be a nice, easy app name to state. So what about searching for symbol for diabetes? Or like most known food, or, you know, something associated. What do you typically associate diabetes with? So the thing that pops up is the blue circle. This is the symbol for diabetes. 7 tattoos. So we'd possibly have the blue circle. And again, you wouldn't want to usually directly relate to that. We'd probably have an icon that is a blue circle in some way that's stylized. Like, that's quite cool. Like, kind of probably do an icon similar to that. I really like that for potentially something like an icon with some kind of paint splatter or something coming off. So what about, I know one thing we did miss. Best watch apps, not necessarily fitness apps. Let's have a look at these. Things, actually, let's also put in, what does the blue circle represent? Let's have a look at why the diabetes circle is what it is. Symbol for diabetes. Right, so the colour blue reflects the sky and unites all nations. So we might want sky. That's potentially maybe a word we can use. Simple circle because a circle is frequent occurrence in nature, and because myriad of cultures over time have used a circle to symbolize life, Mother Earth. How beautiful. So really, there's no major meaning behind it. It's kind of unifying everybody through the fact that it's sky. So maybe sky comes into play. Dark sky. I wonder what that app is. I wonder if that's got anything to do with diabetes. Nope, it's all about weather. Carrot fit. The other thing you can also do is just pick a random word, like how they've done here, carrot fit. Sometimes that works really well. So maybe we could go off piste a bit and pick, I don't know, is there a blue food maybe? Blue foods. And you can have kind of you could have it maybe called Blueberry. You could just have the app called Blueberry. So it's kind of, 2 syllables, catchy, simple. It doesn't directly relate to diabetes, but then you promote it that way, and once it's popular, it becomes known as opposed to explicitly stating something like fit in. So I quite like Blueberry as a name, to be honest. Candy, they aren't natural, surely. No, go back. 10 naturally blue foods. Let's have a look at this one. Blueberries, American lobster, starflower. So starflower is quite a cool one as well, and that would be indirectly related. And it kind of links to the sky. The stars are above the sky, so yeah, that's kind of getting somewhere. Milk cap, don't like the word. Blue corn, blue potato, blue cheese, blue. I quite like this blue theme. I'm liking this for a name. Blue peeps. Okay, so I love the adverts. Let's get a few more foods, because also with it being a food, that kind of links in with the fact that this is also going to manage your food, so it starts to hint at. I'm really liking this blueberry. Is there any naturally occurring blue foods? Yes, we've seen quite a few. Some Japanese soup is that. Crystal blue tea. So you could have blue tea maybe. That's a cool colour mix. What's that? So there's not many blue foods. So actually we've probably got 2 of the only ones. So if we did that. Starflower. See, starflower seems a little bit spacey to me. A bit too out there. Blueberry's kind of normal. I kind of like this blueberry thing. So if that was going to be a name, one thing I'd do is go to, say, the Android App Store and search for blueberry, see if there's a really popular one already, because sometimes you'll find that. And nope, so all the ones, I mean, there's one here, which is just pictures, blueberry wallpaper, installs 10, so it doesn't exist. So we've got Blueberry Travel Company. So again, that's far enough out of the, what you have to be careful of here is, again, trademarks, and if people have already branded that. With a trademark, you typically apply for a trademark in a certain area. So Apple trademarked Apple originally in, the computer space, hence why they could trademark Apple and they couldn't trademark it in the food space directly. Just ignore this glitching on the HDMI, all this flickering. I'll fix that in the next video. But yeah, Apple trademarked Apple in like the computer space. So in this case, this blueberry will have trademarked it in the travel space. It's highly unlikely to have trademarked it in the kind of fitness and health area, which is also another thing. I should probably trademark the name, and I'll probably have to do that before this video goes out in case somebody decides to do that in spite of that. So I'll trademark blueberry if we choose that. So that's, to be honest, we've done that little search. I expected this to be a bit longer, but I've stumbled across that and I quite like that name. It's simple, it's catchy. It doesn't directly say that it's diabetes related, but again, things don't. eBay doesn't tell you you're going to shop. Apple doesn't tell you that you're getting, hardware or software. So the name doesn't necessarily have to directly relate to the app, and that's what a lot of people that make apps think they have to do. I'm making a diabetes app, I need to say it's a diabetes health management system, and they kind of ruin the name. So you don't have to have a name that relates directly to something. It can be loosely related, and in this case, blueberries are food, and diabetes is partly managed by food. The symbol's blue, and obviously blueberries are very healthy as well. There's lots of little things you can blend into that name as a purpose. So let's say that. If not, we'd have gone through these, but this is literally how I come up with names for products. I brainstorm, I search through, and then you happen to just stumble across something that sounds right. You don't start there. I had no idea of starting with a food, or I had no expectations of where this name was going to be. We didn't even have a food written in here. These were my original ideas, and then we stumbled across Blue Foods, and that turned out to be really good. So to be honest, I am happy with this blueberry idea. So let's roll with that. The other thing is as well, you can just type in, as well as just getting the App Store, just generally type in Blueberry app or Blueberry software. Because the other thing you might find is companies called Blueberry or something that makes it hard to trademark. And even if you didn't trademark it, if somebody had a company called Blueberry, you can still call your app Blueberry. I've never come across where anybody's come after me for trademark infringements or renaming stuff. It's never got to that case. And even if it does, there's usually ways you can work around it if they're not directly related. There's plenty of things in the market. For example, Acoustica, the software I use, you type in Acoustica and all you can ever find is this company, Acoustica. Now I use Acoustica for my rendering, this Acoustica, which is a totally different company, spelt exactly the same and in the same industry, and they've both got the name. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. You do, obviously, if something pops up straight away, like we're making a phone and we type in Apple, and all of a sudden the top result is a big company that makes phones, you don't want to kind of go there straight away. But in this case, nothing's really popping up for Blueberry as an app. So, you know, there's little things out there, like the domain name would be the next thing, which we'll have to think of something creative. I usually go with IO, funnily enough, and this is an existing one. That flickering is really annoying. I'll definitely get that fixed. Yeah, so I think that's it. I think we've got the name for the app. So the next thing we'll do with that then is now we can call the Git repositories Blueberry. We can start making the applications and give it the right name. We can make a folder. We can make documentation referring to the name now. Like I say, I'll probably trademark it just to be sure we've secured this name. So that's going to cost me a fair amount. I think it's not terrible. I think it's about £300–400 to trademark. So I'll get that sorted, and then we'll figure out whether we spell it Blueberry or just Blueberry. Again, as I mentioned, I don't typically like alternate spellings of the word, because then trying to tell somebody, oh, download the Blueberry app, but no, spell it with an A, not an E, and put 3 R's or put 1 R. You know, it kind of gets messy. You want it to be simple. Search for Blueberry and you find it. And once it's popular, it'll get found automatically then. So yeah, that's the name we're going to roll with. So now we have a name picked, we can jump straight into creating the Git repository and start the source control, chuck some documentation in there, start getting the project set up for communication and initial workflow, and talk about how we're going to handle the source control. So that's what we'll do next. And as always, any donations you can give me towards this project, I'm doing it completely free, earning no money doing this. It'd be greatly appreciated. If you can't afford to donate, then you can just share on social media, try to bring the attention to the project, and it'll help it bring it to market faster if I can stay dedicated to this project.